So 3 over 10 would be 0.3. Okay, so 4 over 10 would be what? 0.4. Okay, so on and so forth, all the way up to 9 over 10. In other words, we do the same thing. 9 over 10 would be equal to 0.9. Okay, so when it has a 10 on the bottom, and most of the ones you're going to run in today, before I say that, the ones you're going to have today are going to have one of those denominators on bottom. So, for example, if I had 33 over 100, okay, well, this is 1 over 100 would be 0.01. So if 1 over 100 is 0.01, here's where some people make their mistake, okay? 33 over 100 would have to be 0.33. Okay? Be 0.33. Now, if it was 3 over 100, then that would be 0.03. Okay, and that's going to go all the way up to, this one's going to go all the way up to 99 over 100, which would be equal to 0.99. Okay, Emma. How's there a difference between 4 over 10 and 3 over 100? Okay. The 4 over 10, that place value has to be in this first space. Okay. In other words, whatever this is, that's where our last digit has to be. Okay. So your first digit then is your tenths, and it's going to be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, and 9/10. That's what's going to be in that first blank. These are the fractions that would be in that first blank. Okay? And it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the second one, when I go 2 blanks, where the hundredths place value is, okay, that means I can go from 1 over 100, 2 over 100, 3 over 100, okay, 4 over 100. Those are all going to be 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, until I get up to 9 over 10. When I get to 9 over 100. When I get to 9 over 100, it's still 0, 9, but now when I go 10 over 100, okay, 10 over 100 would be 1, 0. Okay, because I've got to take the number 10 and put it in the 2 blanks. Okay, I've got to take the number 4 and put it in 2 blanks because I'm in the hundredths place value. So the only way I can make a 4 2 digits is what? 0, 4, right? So I can make, because if I go 4, 0, is that longer 4? No. What is 4, 0? 40. Okay. And that would have to be 40 over 100 for it to be 4, 0. Okay. So the 4 over 100. So the same thing is true if I did this. 4 over 1,000. Well, how many digits does 1,000 have? It has 1, 2, 3 digits. So I have to plug in this 4 into these spaces where it's still the number 4. Okay? Well, the only place I can put the 4 is one of 3 places. I can put the 4 here and put zeros after it. Well, what's that make that number? 400. So that's not it. I can put the 4 here and put a 0 there and a 0 there, but what's that number? 40. So that's not it. So the only place I have left is there, and put zeros there and there. What's that number? 0.004, which is the correct answer. That is what this is equal to. Okay? So whatever my denominator is, whether it's 10, if it's 10, then it has 1 space. If it's 100, it has 2 spaces. If it's 1,000, it has 3 spaces. It's however many zeros that it has, that's the number of spaces that I've got to fill up with my number. Okay? And so to it go to 1,000, you would have 999 over 1,000 would be your last number. That would be 0.999. Then you increase it by 1. Now you're dealing with another place value. Okay? So, hopefully that helps. Let's look at this one. 15 over 1,000. Okay, 15 over 1,000 as a decimal. We already know that it's going to take 3 blanks because I'm dealing with 1,000. And so I've got to plug in my 15 into those 3 blanks where it's still 15. Okay? Well, the only place that would be right there. And then add a 0. Now, we've talked about, in the past, we've talked about when you need zeros, when you don't need zeros. That 0 you have to have. Okay? This 0 you don't have to have. Those 2 zeros you don't have to have. Okay? But this 0 you do have to have there. Okay? It is holding an important place value. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at changing decimals to fractions. All right, 4 different decimals there. Okay? All right, the first thing here is, what is the last digit's place value? That's the question that you must ask yourself on each problem. What is the last digit's place value? In this problem, what is it? Somebody said it. Tenths, yes. It's the tenths place value. So I'm going to take this number, 7, and put it over 10. Because it's the tenths. The answer to that question is the tenths place value. This is our answer. 7 over 10 is the answer to this specific problem. Okay? What is the place value of 0.23? Jonah? Okay, it's the hundredths place value. Okay, it's the hundredths place value, so I've got to take and put this number over 100. Now, if it will reduce, you've got to reduce it. I'll show you one here in just a second that will reduce. Well, I take that back. They're not. Well, yeah, they are. Sometimes they are. Okay, yeah. You're just better off reducing it, okay, when you can. I'll show you one. These last 2 you'll be able to reduce, and I'll help you out with that. All right, so we move to the next one. What is the place value of the 5? Emma? No, it's got two digits, so what should it have to be? Joy? Huh? No. I want to know what that digit right there, what place value is that digit in behind the decimal? No, not thousandths. By hundredths. Okay? It's hundredths because it has 2 place values. That means it has to have 2 zeros after the 1. Okay? That's how you can tell I've got to have 2 place values, so it's 2 zeros. Okay? So the 75 over 100 goes there. Now, the 5 goes in front of the fraction. Just like the 5 is in front of the decimal, the 5 here is in the 1's place value. That means it's a whole number. Okay? So that means that it goes in front of the decimal. That means it goes in front of the fraction. I could have 555 there. Well, if 555 is in front of the decimal, then 555 has to be in front of the fraction. Okay? Whatever numbers are in front of the decimal or the left side of the decimal, they have to be on the left side of the fraction. Now, this part of the fraction I can reduce. I can simplify. I need to simplify 75 over 100. Okay? What is the greatest common factor between 75 and 100? Jonah? 25. In other words, 25 goes into 75 and 25 goes into 100. So I have to divide 25 over 100 by 25 over 25. Okay? 25 into 75 goes 3 times. 25 into 100 goes 4 times. Now I take the 5 and put it back in front of the fraction. So 5 3/4. Okay, 5 3/4 would be the answer. Okay. Now tomorrow in the books, when we show the answers, it'll show both of these. It'll show 5 and 75 over 100 and 5 3/4. But we need to get in the habit of going ahead and reducing the fractions when we can. Okay, because in later sections, if it's not reduced, it will be wrong. Okay, so we need to get in that habit of always checking to make sure that there's no way I can reduce it. Okay, now, next one, 0.18. Okay, 0.18 is 2 place values. So that means that, so that would have to be the hundredths place value and the tenths place value. Okay, so it's in the hundredths place value. So, let me erase that. This is going to be 18 over 100. Okay, 18 over 100. Now, can I reduce that? Is there a common factor between 18 and 100? Noah? 2, okay. So I can reduce it by 2 over 2. Okay. 2 goes into 18 how many times? 9 times. 2 goes into 100 how many times? 50. Now, I want to check again to make sure that I haven't done anything wrong. Is there any common factors between 9 and 50? No, there's not. Okay, so I'm done. 9 over 50. Okay, any questions over that? All right, let's move to changing numbers that are in word form. changing numbers in word form to fractions and decimals. So, four and 800ths. Okay, 4 and 800ths. All right, we studied in the first week of school how to change 4 and 800ths from word form to a decimal number. Okay, we know that the word and means what? A decimal. Okay, so that gives me 4 decimal 800ths. Okay, 800ths. So, what's the rest of my number going to look like? Emma? 0.8. Good. So, 4.08 is the decimal. Now I need to change that decimal to a fraction. Okay? So that's the first answer. 800ths is also how I can do my fraction. 800ths means 8 over 100. Okay? Now, we said that the 4 is to the left of the decimal, so the 4 must be to the left of the fraction. Now, I believe they're going to allow you to keep it in that form. 8 over 100 would reduce down, but since they're wanting you to name this specific number, they're going to allow you to leave it as 8 over 100 because they want you to list this specific number. Okay? So 4 and 8 over 100. Those would be your two answers. You would have to have both of those answers for it to be correct. Okay? Okay, now, the last thing .05, and they want us to write two equivalent fractions or mixed numbers for that. Okay? Well, this is where reducing the fraction is really going to come into play. Okay? First of all, let's take .05 and make that number into a fraction. Okay? Well, .05, there would be 1 over 100, 1 over 10. And there would be 1 over 100. So, that means that this is going to be 5 over 100. Okay, that's the first fraction. That's the first answer. Okay, the second answer, so this is 1. The second one, I'm going to take 5 over 100 and reduce it. So 5 over 100, what is the greatest common factor between 5 and 100? 5. Obviously, 5 will go into both numbers. So I divide by 5 to the top and to the bottom numbers. 5 into 5, 1 time. 5 into 100, 20 times. So there is your second answer. So first answer, second answer. That's your two equivalent fractions. Okay? Now I'm going to give you one and let you try it on your own. Let's try this one. 0.28. 0.28. I want two equivalent fractions for 0.28. Have that 2 in front of the 8. You'd have the 2 in front of the 8. Both numbers have to be over the fraction. That just tells you what place value it is, okay? So the 2 and the 8 have to go together over the fraction. So put a 2 in front of that 8, then reduce it. Remember, folks, whatever this number is, it has to sit on top of your fraction. Okay? This right here was just telling me what place value it was. Okay? The reason I could have done this over here, I could have said 0.05 over 100. Okay? I could have said that, but you don't include that 0. Okay? So make sure always make sure that you have whatever number you're dealing with over the fraction. Okay, so right here then, we should have this. 28 over, what place value is the 8 in? Hundreds. So 28 over 100 should be your first fraction. Okay, that's fraction number 1. Fraction number 2 is to take 28 over 100 and reduce it. Now, there's two different ways to reduce this. Really, there's one way, just breaking it up into parts. You can divide it by the greatest common factor, or what a lot of you are going to do is this. I know 2 goes into it because they're both even. So I'm going to divide 2 into that, get 14. 2 into that goes 50 times. Well, the problem is you got to make sure that you see that you can do it again. Okay? So I divide 2 over 2 into that. 2 into 14 goes 7 times. 2 into 50 goes 25 times. And so that is your second fraction. Now, the other way you could have done it is see that 28 over 100 can be reduced by 4 over 4. 4 goes into 28 7 times. 4 goes into 100 25 times. Okay, so you get the same answer either way. Okay, the problem with this way is you've done it twice, and so that just gives you more room for error. Okay, you can make an error down here as well. You could misdivide 4 because it's a larger number into 100, and so either way, you still got to get the math of it right. Okay. So your two answers would be 28 over 100 and 7 over 25. Okay? Let's look at this last one. I want to do one that's got a mixed number for you. 14.55, and I want to write two equivalent, now this case it would be mixed numbers, okay, because I have a whole number and a decimal. So, once again, the place value is what? Hundreds. So, 14 and 55 over 100. That's your first fraction. Okay. Now, I must reduce 14 and 55 over 100. What's the common factor between 55 and 100? 5. Why? No, they're not both even. They both, one ends in a 5 and one ends in a 0. Okay, that's why 5 will go into them. Because for 5 to go into a number, it must end in 5 or it must end in 0. Okay, so I divide by 5 into both numbers. Okay, 5 into 55, 5 into 100. Okay, well 5 goes into 55 how many times? 11 times. 5 into 100? 20 times. Now, I've got to take and put 14 and 11 over 20. Okay, so there's your two equivalent fractions, okay, that mean the same number. Okay, so your homework, of which we just did about 12 problems. We have 4.2, 1 through 27. Okay? Yeah. No, first answer was that one, the 14 and 55 over 100. All right, you may go.